All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's video. I am interviewing one of my agents here, Christiana, and she started pretty much with a bang. She's a super impressive new final expense agent. She works super hard. She never gives up. She puts in a ton of effort every single day, and it's helped her learn the business pretty quickly. So I wish that I could clone Christiana and I could have like Christiana A, Christiana B, Christiana C, but it doesn't happen. They don't make them like that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Christiana here. And if you can introduce yourself actually and share a little bit about your background with us to get it started.
Hi, I'm Chris. Well, Chris. I go by Chris. So I've been in the business a few years. My other life was before this. I worked in with the seniors majority of my life for decades as a recreational therapist and a dietary manager, and I thoroughly loved the seniors. So I went into something to work from home. I've been with companies that wasn't as productive, wasn't as supportive, took a little leave of absence from doing life insurance for personal reasons. But then just before June, I came upon an ad and came here, and I was really super excited the fact that we had leads. And I've done call centers before, so that's easy for me to do. But once I got here, I was super excited because the support is top notch here. That is what keeps me going, because I know my coaches work very hard, and I don't want to let them down as well, because they're putting in the time and investing their time. And I've never, in all the call centers I've worked, seen as much support, training from everybody. I mean, it goes on up to everyone. So I'm super excited for that. That's a little history on me. I'm a grandma. My grandkids are my life. I have a real motivation as well. So when the grandkids come over, which is often, they know when I'm working, I take a quick break. I might play a game with them, do something. But my main focus right now is to build a business, and I see the bigger picture because I want to retire my husband, hopefully next year, the year after, and move out of state and have two homes to where we do the snowbirding, and I get a monkey. That's my goal.
Awesome. You got a monkey. That's super cool.
No, I'm going to. That's my main goal.
Okay. Yep, well, I love it. You speak it into existence.
It is. And I have good support with my husband because he knows I'm working hard, long hours. And I have a reason and a why, because he puts in 100 hours, 60 to 100 hours.
Wow.
He's done that for 30 years, same job. So I just feel like it's my time, because I know that this is going to be long lasting. It's something I can share with my grandkids as they grow older and can work. Something that I think they can do, and I'm excited about that too. So all the way around.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for that. I didn't know everything about that with your background, but it makes sense now as to why you show up and work so hard every day. And, you're on all the meetings. And what she's saying a little bit about support, guys, is we have really trainings every day, every morning, 8 a.m. Zoom calls for training. One-on-one trainings. We have a leadership team that is on the back end of Chris's calls a lot of the time, kind of coaching her through her call, giving her tips on what to say, what to do, things to pivot to based on their experience and expertise. So we really try to go above and beyond to help people with that stuff. But Chris here is taking full advantage of it, right? She's like really putting in a huge amount of effort, and she has clear-cut and defined goals, which is very important. If you want to be successful really in anything, like you got to know where you're going in order to get there, and you clearly have a good idea of where you're going. So how about if you could walk us through a typical day in your life as an agent here, because I know you're in a different time zone than us, I think. So if you want to walk us through what your day looks like when it starts and when you end, and how your dialing looks and stuff like that.
Sure. I firmly believe I get ready for the day. If I'm going to go to a job outside of the home, of course I'm going to be ready, right? Nobody leaves the door without getting dressed, this and that. I wake up, get ready for the day, and make sure my chores are done. I prep my dinner before, whether it's laundry, dishes, vacuuming, whatever. And so I'm prepared there and I can sit down and go to work. So I come to work. I do training, listen to videos while I'm doing house chores. I'm always listening to something in the morning. And then I come in usually to my office and I plan for the day. I look at everything that was yesterday, what's going to be today, check my callbacks, make a notes of, who this, who that. I keep good notes on note paper just because that's how I do it. And I'm ready to go at 6 o'clock, camera on. I think that's very important. And I hit the training, and that helps me tremendously. I always take notes and write things down. And then, I do a lot of dialing, but I also do a lot of, I work from the time I'm off the training meetings and until I go to bed. So I wake up extra early. I'm here at 6 o'clock in the morning, my time, and I usually work till about 8:30. I take a few breaks here and there. It might be 5 minutes. It might be, once in a while there you do have to reset. I might take an extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I make time for my husband's dinner. I know what time he's going to be here. That's my time. I try to give him an hour, but he understands that, we have a goal. Him and I. He may do this when he does retire. But I have a goal and he has a goal. And so he supports me 100% and makes my job easier. And right after dinner, he'll always say, are we going to get to watch a half an episode at least? Because we're watching these shows and series, and he knows. And I think that helps me. He set up my office well, got me desk, got me things that I need. I live with scoliosis. So sitting in a chair all day can be painful, but I just I know when I need to get up, walk around, stand. But I think having one goal and then dialing, and if I don't get answers, that's okay. I just go on to the next. I get yelled at, I go on, right? Somebody's having a bad day. And I think being consistent and listening to the coaches, the training, I follow the script. I'm constantly just learning and growing. I'm super excited to be here. I don't think I could. I've been in many companies at home, and I really honestly can't say that what makes me work harder is the amount of support, the teams, the training is what keeps me going. And I'll be the last one in my group sometimes, still dialing because maybe I didn't get a sale, or maybe I just want to keep on getting that practice in. And I think that's what has helped me tremendously is the more you dial, the more you're saying it. I read scripts all day long. I have things on my wall that I can read, make it easier. So that's my life of a day. I can't hear you.
Oh, there you go. I was muted. So that's pretty motivational and inspirational for me, and it reminds me of myself when I started. Because when I got into this industry, I didn't look at it as, hey, I'm starting a job. It was, hey, I'm starting a business. So I had that focus of wanting to build something, and also I knew what I wanted. And I had some pretty clear-cut goals on what I want to accomplish and why I wanted to accomplish those things financially. I think it's very important for anybody starting out in the business to take that approach. Like, you're not just, if you take the approach that you're just signing up for like another 9 to 5 or something like that, like it's going to be really, really hard for you to be successful, because like as a business, that's really what this is. I mean, you're building something for yourself, and it's like every call you make, you're planting a little seed that can grow into something over time. And you don't have the punch in, punch out mentality that comes with having a job. You have I'm going to work until I get the job done. That comes with a business, right? Because if you punch out somewhere, you don't get the job done by 5 p.m. It's like, oh, I'll pick it up tomorrow. But when you're building a business, you're like, no, I have to get it done today because I have these goals that I want to accomplish. So thank you for sharing that. And it makes me feel good to, to see that. And it like kind of gets me fired up, keeps me going. So thank you for that. Now, when you started, what were the biggest challenges that you faced on your sales calls when you started?
I would have to say the biggest challenges was just learning the scripts, making sure I had them down, no matter how many times I did it. I had to come in and do actual practice on the phones. So the biggest challenge was probably getting my organization down because there's a lot to learn in the beginning, but it was finding a system that would work for me to make sure I was prepared. Just like, you're doing a business, if you own a business, they were just talking about this earlier, if you're landscaping, you're going to have your tools ready, right?
Yeah.
And so getting everything in place and where I need it to be, it was a challenge because it was a lot to learn at one time in the beginning, but I started focusing on what is most important to my tools to get me to where I need to be. And I utilize my coaches as tools because they are your biggest tool. They've been here, they've done it. So it was a challenge for me to, in the beginning, just dialing and not seeing the money right away was a challenge at first, but I had the bigger focus of I just keep pushing through it. I've a little challenge or something was I spent the summer not doing as much as I do with family, right? But I have a long-term goal, and so when the grandkids come over, I had to make a little time here and there, and that was a little challenging because they're used to me always just doing everything right. But I would say just learning everything was a big challenge all at once, but I did overcome it, and I am overcoming it. I'm going to continue to learn and grow. So there wasn't too many challenges. I mean, because I wake up early in the morning anyways. So for me to treat this as a business, like you're saying, was the most important thing.
But you work so hard that like this, the thing too, Chris, is like any challenges that you, and some that's important there for anybody watching this to realize that any challenges she ran into, she's going to overcome and learn how to overcome because of how much effort she puts on the phone dialing. Like she's working like 12 to 14 hours a day. So it's like no problem you run into, you're not going to get good at and or not going to, be able to overcome that challenge. And I see a lot of agents will start and they run into a little resistance. And they're like, oh, let me take a step away and try to figure this out, when it's, hey, you just have to do it over and over and over again. So,
Yes.
I think that you found the real challenge with being successful at this, which is just organizing your schedule. And you're so fortunate to have people in your life that are supportive of that too. I think that's really, really important. But, you keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. Just wanted to.
No, and you're right on. Staying focused and pushing through it. I mean, trust me, I've had the days where, you get a lot of dials and it can be a little discouraging, this or that, but you got to just know that it's okay to get a bunch of no's. You're pushing through, you're working, but what are you doing with your time during that time? What are you, when you're having a slow day, when maybe people aren't answering? Okay, so I'm reading the rebuttals hanging on my wall. I'm reading the scripts. I'm writing things down. I'm recruiting. I'm looking at different options throughout the day to utilize my time. Yesterday was a slow day. I went ahead and was really hitting the recruiting in between calls, organizing a little more to set myself up for the next week. And tomorrow's another day. And just pushing through is what keeps me going. A little team, we'd get in a little powwow once in a while when things were slow, get in there and say, hey, how's it going? This or that. You laugh, you this, get right back on the phones. That's important too. We've got great support even with our team members. And even in the chats and private chats, you know, and I think that goes a long way too. I'm really big about pointing out when somebody has done good, because I know that that helps you to continue. It helps you to, okay, I did it, you know. Everybody starts somewhere, and when you start something you don't know, which I didn't know a lot, you have to learn and grow. And I think it's going to be that way for the rest of my business. And that's my main goal is
when you run into something, you just figure it out and keep learning. You're just always learning through the day too.
And I reach out to the coaches. That's an important thing is no question is a stupid question if you don't know it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So reaching out and just putting something to get the information to say, hey, I didn't do this, watching and listening to videos, I do a lot of your YouTube videos. I'm listening to those, how other people are doing it, and I'm taking notes. I'm taking, because it helps me to grow.
So let me ask you this. I know that at one point we had a one-on-one, I was listening to some of your calls, and I noticed that there was a big change in your tonality when you got into the close and you got into closing people. So I think a challenge that you faced, and I could be wrong here, but I think one of the challenges you faced too was having feeling a lot of sales tension and resistance when you got into a close. And I think that may have held you back from executing some of the rebuttals and tools that we have to help close. So and I think you've worked on that and you've made some adjustments there. So what's helped you do that? And I could be totally off. I don't know if I am.
No, you're totally on, because the closing was my weakest point, because I felt like, okay, some people say I really can't afford it. I really can't this. Or they hit me and I wasn't utilizing the rebuttals because it made me feel in the beginning uncomfortable, right? And I had to get past that. And working with seniors my whole life, I'm doing them a service. I'm helping them. I have had quite a few phone calls. You know, you hear the sad stories, you hear a lot of stuff from them. But when it came to the closes, I was always not pushing myself there. And once you get uncomfortable and you realize the rebuttals, you need to follow them. Once I started really coming back with a rebuttal, doing that loop was significant with me. I mean, it's hanging on my wall. So I wrote it nice and big. So that way I could overcome that close.
Awesome.
I could push for those. And that was and I knew I struggled with the close. I mean,
well, it's easy to read the data, right? Because I remember looking at your talk time and I was like, okay, how much talk time do you get? And then how many quotes do you get a day? And those numbers were pretty good. So I was like, okay, well, there must be, or the quotes might have been a little lower, but still, it was like, okay, something's going on with the close ratio here. So, you know, and you had a lot of, you were really good with building relationship and building rapport with people and having those good things. So part of what I was thinking too, I was like, maybe she spends a lot of time building this relationship because she's just like, I don't want to get to the close because then I don't know what I'm going to do. So that's right too. So I'm like, hey, we'll just, you know, streamline this. But what's really cool is like you apply the information and you push forward. And those are things that so many people run into.
And I heard one of the coaches mention, so I'm really good at building rapport, and I was making friends too easily, to where when you get to the close, I realized that was a key thing to me is I was too afraid to close. Yeah. Because I built too much of a friendship versus, hey, you know, I need to help these people. I can't help them if I'm going to just back down when it comes to the close of, okay, so you've told me this, you can't afford it, you can't this. But now I find ways to help them. I mention communities because we're dealing with a lot of seniors. Oh, well, have you reached out to your community center? So now I'm helping them, but quickly going back into it and not afraid to make that close because they have nothing. And
yeah, and the thing is too, like a lot of these people, guys, and like I'll go over real quick our system here. If anybody's interested in talking with Chris and learning from her, and maybe interested in working with Chris on her team or anything, just reach out to me. My email is right here You're going to see it right next to my name, jve@thejve.com. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to share her knowledge. We provide unlimited leads to our agents at 55% commission plus bonuses. So, I mean, it's a pretty fair trade, right? Even if you're at 120% commission street level, and 120% of zero is zero. So, it's commission level doesn't make a paycheck. How many sales you get actually makes a paycheck. So we provide a lot of support with that, not only with the leads, but the training and everything else. But, handling those objections in the close, a lot of times it just comes down to mechanics. It's like, hey, I'm going to practice something over and over again. I'm going to look at this as part of the process and not something separate from it. People are going to tell me no. And look, these people that we work with, there's a reason why they're at the point in their life where they are, and they don't have this taken care of yet. Some of them have just had tough circumstances. Sorry, making sure my dog's being okay. Some of them have tough circumstances, but a lot of them are just irresponsible, and they put this off forever. And sometimes they just need someone to be like, no, this is what you're doing. And it's not a bad thing. Like, most people want to be led. And as a salesperson, especially in this business, you have to sometimes be like, no, you're going to get the $20,000 plan because that's what's going to leave this much behind. And sometimes, you can just try to do it and take control like that. And some people will be relieved almost when finally, someone's there to get them to make this decision. So, sorry, I had a little Mexican jumping bean right here to bother me. But yeah, next here, what's your approach to script control, and how do you maintain that control? Because a lot of times, like, you keep people on the phone, and so many agents have trouble with people just trying to get off. And I'll see it. People have a lot of talk time, but no quotes. So how do you keep people on the phone and interested in talking?
Well, I try to build the rapport right off the bat, whether it's their age, their kids, their jobs. And then when they get off topic, I go right back into it. I was afraid to cut people off before. Now I have to keep it going and why I'm doing it. So I'll go back on the topic, but I still find little pieces. If they say something, I'm still going to listen. I'm still going to, focus on those buying signals of why when they're mentioning things or, of the importance of it. So throughout the script, I am still doing a sentence of rapport. I'm still following the script. Exactly. I mean, it works. As long as you follow it, it's going to work.
Yeah. So, but if someone tries to get you off the phone, what do you say? Like, how do you handle that? If someone tries to get you off the phone and just try to like, oh yeah, like, oh, I just need a quote, or yeah, I'm kind of busy, reach out to me later, something like that. Like, how do you handle that?
Well, I just let them know, I just need a few minutes of your time. Let me just go ahead and see here. I understand. You just want the price. Let me just ask you a few questions because it is, it's based on your age and it's based on your health. And so they're more understanding of that. And I've learned, you get to where you learn if they're really in the middle of something. If you hear a lot of background noise, if they're out and about, those are the ones that you're not going to, I've learned to weed out the ones that aren't, they really are busy. But the ones that are just sitting at home, and I can tell, and they've just told me they're sitting at home, I've overcome reasonings with that by just going back into the rapport, listening to mentioning something about their kids or their things, and it helps to keep them back on track and keep them knowing I'm listening to what they're saying.
So yeah, so essentially you're getting them interested in or you're getting them to talk about things that are more interesting to them than just the insurance itself, right? Like it's more than just like, hey, like it's not just the insurance. It's more than that. So I think that's important too, is like getting people to talk, because if you're just solely, there's a balance, I think, between script and then keeping it about the client. Because if you only keep it about the script, then it's hard for them to talk about things that are interesting to them. But if you only keep it about them, then you end up talking to someone for an hour about their grandkids, and then you don't get to the close. So it's kind of like a balance there, right? But I think you do an awesome job with that, and it helps you get that talk time. So what advice would you give new agents facing tough clients who give them objections? So like if you could go back to Chris day one and be like, hey, you might have some trouble closing. This is what you want to do to help handle those objections.
I would say you got to get confident with the rebuttals. You have to be confident. In the beginning, I wasn't confident with coming back with a rebuttal. The rebuttals work really good. They've been mastered and they work. So I would say to just get comfortable. Get comfortable with the fact that you're going to hear no's. You're going to hear, I can't afford it. You're going to hear all kinds of their excuses that they've had for how many years now.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I started getting comfortable with all of their excuses and coming back with reasonings of why we were even on the phone, it really helps with keeping them on and them listening to more of the script, more of the important facts.
If you guys want as well, you can get a copy of the rebuttals that Chris uses. I have lifetime access. I think it's $39. Just go to rebuttalspage.com, www.rebuttalspage.com, and it has all the rebuttals that she uses. I provide them to our agents at no cost. But if you guys want a copy, that if you close one sale, you're gonna you're gonna make 10 times back on your investment for it. So it's just www.rebuttalspage.com. But utilizing the tools available are huge, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel with this stuff, guys. Right? Like my journey as an insurance agent got so much easier once I started doing what other people found worked. So, like Chris is creating her own little system out of it. But there's a lot of things like it's okay to be a copycat, right? It's like, why? You don't have to come up with something new. Like this works. So, you can just do it and apply it. So how do you balance being persuasive with feeling okay with like the feeling of like, don't want to be too pushy type of thing? Like how do you balance that? Or is it kind of a struggle?
It depends on the person I'm talking to. Sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it's not. I just, again, sticking with the rebuttals because they work so easily and it makes my job easier. But that I just have to overcome the reasoning why we're even talking in the first place, why they haven't gotten something, and that helps a lot.
Okay, cool. So just kind of bringing it back to square one, like, hey, why'd you request this information to begin with, right? And sometimes that can get lost along the way, and these people can get so scared. I don't even understand what they get scared of, because it's like they can cancel at any time. It's not like they're bound to this forever. So now, for someone as an agent who might be struggling with the aspect of being able to build a rapport with a client and build that relationship, what advice would you give them if someone's like having trouble with, just like getting someone to talk to them?
Practice, talk to yourself, and utilize everything they say to find something to relate to them. I mean, I stick to my main thing almost every time. I start off with their date of birth and always say you're so-and-so years young. And then I ask them the basics. Are you married or single? And wow, that's a long time. Oh, if they're a widow. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How long were you married? So you can always find something right off the bat to build a little rapport. Kids, grandkids, their job. I always ask them if they're retired, disabled, or still working. And right off the bat, if they are retired, oh, what kind of work did you do? Boom, I've got instant rapport in terms of I listen to a sentence that they say. And then I utilize that throughout my call.
Cool. Awesome. So you can just pick. I did the same thing. I found it. I actually enjoyed talking with people and learning about them and having conversations. That helped me, guys. If you can adopt that point of view, it makes it feel less like work. And it was, for me, it was more like I'm just calling, having some conversations with some people during the day, and that helped a lot.
Totally. That's how I feel. I love to talk to people. I love the seniors. I could sit on a park bench. So you really have to get comfortable with listening. listening skills have to be there. That's probably the most important. And sure, in the beginning, I just wanted to talk and say, hey, you know, in the back of my head, I was thinking, oh, I got to get the script to you, right? So the listening is definitely the key, because the more you listen, but you have to know when listening is enough.
Yeah, like
to
when they're
not
just
let them go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And pull it back into the script and say,
how will you
I
pull it back in?
I just simply, if I got a chatty person, I just say, I just let them know. I say, oh, you know, could sit here all day and talk to you. I love talking and listening to stories. I've enjoyed it. And then I say, but I just want to share with you. And then I go right back into it, wherever I'm at.
Cool. So you just kind of jump right back into the script there. So guys, I hope you got a lot out of this meeting I've had here with Chris. And I'm really happy that she was able to share. It was really cool hearing the perspective come from you in this way. And if any of you guys would like to get in touch with Chris, you can just email me at the email that's right here. And if you'd like to work with us as well, or interested in the opportunity that we have, if you'd like a copy of my sales script, if you would like, I don't know, anything, you can ask me questions about anything too. It doesn't just have to be like to buy from something from me or work with me or something. So just reach out, jve@thejve.com. Chris, we appreciate the time. And guys, you don't want to miss the next video coming up. It's another interview with a top producing agent. Thank you so much.